Good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today. My name is Dale Wielden. I am the president and CEO for the British Columbia Economic Development Association, and I want to acknowledge that today I am on the traditional unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people here in the city of Penticton. I live and work, and so I'm happy to be with you all today. Also have with me Mark Regier. Mark works with BCVA, is the membership and communications manager. Hi, Mark. And have Mark Vandagana, regional manager. And then, of course, we have our speaker, Swin Chai from the Ministry of JEG, Jobs and Economic Growth. The session today is understanding and assessing business support programs. It is a crammed session. I'm going to say that right up front. Swin has done a remarkable job of putting together information on the different resources, and I think you're going to be really impressed with it. It may go over the allotted time of an hour, so we have about an hour and 15 minutes, and but we are going to stay on here as long as we can and answer as many questions. We do ask you to put your questions throughout the presentation in chat, and then we will get to those questions either. I believe the chat. I don't know if it's being monitored. It will and answered some questions. And then we will get to any unanswered questions, hopefully at the end of the webinar, and also allow people to ask questions at that time live. So I will pass it over to you, Swin. Thank
Thanks,
you for
Dale.
joining us. Yeah.
I also have Maria Mikado on the line. She's our policy analyst, and she will be monitoring the questions and answering anything that comes up. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start by acknowledging that I'm joining you today from the beautiful traditional territories of the Lekwungen peoples, who are now known today as the Esquimalt and Songhees Nation. As Dale mentioned, my name is Swin Chai, and I am the Senior Director within the Ministry of Jobs and Economic Growth's Small Business and Economic Development Division. I manage the small business programs within the small business branch, supporting entrepreneurs and business owners to start, grow, and manage their business. I'd like to thank the BCEDA for inviting me to deliver this webinar today about understanding and accessing business support programs, where I will go through key provincial and federal programs designed to support businesses in every stage of development. The first part of this presentation will be an introduction to two relevant branches within our division. As part of the small business branch, we develop and coordinate resources, tools, and services for businesses to start up, grow, and thrive. We facilitate and foster a business-friendly environment across all levels of government. We also conduct engagement and outreach with members of the business community to inform new or ongoing initiatives. We are a branch responsible for responding to emerging needs, developing and mobilizing business supports and projects, and advise in the development, delivery, review, and evaluation of strategies, programs, initiatives, legislation, and resources across government to support businesses. With that said, some of the information that I will walk you through today may not be within the purview of the small business branch, but if there are feedback or questions, I'd be happy to follow up with my colleagues in their respective areas where we collectively support businesses together. I now invite Mark Von de Grana, Northern Region Director of the Regional Economic Operations Branch, to discuss the functions of his branch.
Thanks, Swin. So yes, like Swin mentioned, I'm the director for the Northern Region, calling in this morning from my home office in McBride, BC, on the territory of the Lheidli. So thanks for having me. So Regional Economic Operations Branch is the branch of our ministry that's actually dispersed and has a regional on-the-ground presence across BC. On the map here, where you see all the different stars, that's where our staff are located. There's myself and two other directors, and then we have 12 regional managers, again, like I say, scattered throughout the north, and each one of those regional managers is responsible for a region that you can see on the map there that's has a different sort of shading color. What we do essentially is we work on three areas: economic development, capacity, sector and business development, and community transition. And our main focus is to work with communities, whether that's a EDO, mayor and council, chief and band council, or their active corporations, to kind of figure out what communities' economic aspirations are, and then trying to add value, whether that's through strategic planning, helping them with business walks, helping them sort of wayfind throughout government. So key to our role in that is pretty much listening, being an interface to government, and helping people kind of decipher government, almost like a government whisperer, if you will, because government's complicated and there's all sorts of different programs and whatnot. And Swin's going to go through a number of them. And for us, it's a matter of just trying to work with communities, work with businesses to try and make sure that they're aware of the programs that are there for support and are able to access them. Community transition is sort of a special case where we have a shock to a community, whether that's a mill closure or some other sort of mass layoff of folks. And we try and work to coordinate other programs across other different ministries to make sure the workers are accessing the programs that are there for support, and that the communities are able to kind of transition to a more diverse and resilient type economy. So I'm here mostly just to listen, but to let you folks know that we do have a branch that has a presence on the ground, and for communities or people out there throughout the province, we could be your first point of contact into the ministry, and again, help you wayfind and find the program that's right for what your needs are. So thanks for having me here today, and I'll turn it back to Swin.
Thanks, Mark. So before I get started, I just want to emphasize this presentation will be provided to all the participants of this webinar after the fact. So it is a cram session, like Dale mentioned. So there's a lot of links, there's a lot of information. I'm only going to be speaking to the key ones. So don't worry about not catching up or too much information on the slide. It is really meant for takeaway, and I will be speaking to the key parts. So in this next section, I'll be walking through government business support resources at the provincial and the federal level. To support businesses, we've developed various publications such as Starting a Small Business Guide, which is a 15-step guide to starting a business in BC. In addition, we also have guides for starting a restaurant in BC, starting a franchise, and starting a new farm. The Small Business Resource Handout contains information about business services, programs, and publications. The Indigenous Small Business Resource Handout contains information about small business resources and services for Indigenous entrepreneurs and business owners. The Preparing for and Recovering from Economic Impacts of Disasters provides step-by-step guide and resources for businesses and communities to be prepared in the event of an emergency or natural disaster. An economic recovery unit was established to provide regional economic managers with recovery-specific support. This unit works with the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness and the Ministry of Finance to better understand the business insurance landscape and develop recommendations for businesses and insurance industry. This guide contains resources and supports for businesses and communities to prepare for and recover from a disaster. This includes information on accessing the Disaster Financial Assistant, which I will walk through in detail later. The Small Business Profile Dashboard highlights the diversity of small businesses and the sector's contribution to the economy by examining trends in growth and development in BC. And the BC's Economic Development Organization and Groups page is a directory of many organizations, regional trusts, and crown corporations dedicated to the economic development of all communities through BC, including BCEDA. And we've recently published more resources to support entrepreneurs looking to start their business, some of which will be highlighted again in slides to come. These were developed as a starting guidance for users and not meant to replace professional expert advice. You should still consult with a qualified professional to validate the accuracy and relevancy to your business before making any decisions based on these resources. These resources provide suggested steps to evaluating your business idea, conducting your market research, exploring resources available for market research, writing a business plan, um, sorry, and create a market and sales plan, writing a business plan, which includes a business plan template, cash flow forecast template, and a sales forecast template, um, importing goods into Canada and exporting goods from Canada. Some of these resources were only just published last week, so you're the first group to know about them. We're in the process of working on educational materials throughout the rest of the year, some of which will have translated versions for accessibility. We're also working to update our information architecture to modernize and ensure resources are organized to be more user-centric. This will happen within the next few months, and we welcome any feedback from the users of our page to help us improve. There are many tools, programs, and services available to support a business owner in starting, managing, or growing a business. Some of the tools and programs that I will go through were developed in partnership or have close collaborative effort with the federal government's Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada team, I said for short, and the Pacifican team. I will walk you through some of these tools in the next few slides. BizPal is a federal initiative with province and territories as partners across the nation, where BC tends to lead in the modernization of the tool. The Business Structures Wizard compares different types of business structures based on a series of 10 questions. The BC Business Registry allows you to select your business name and register your business entity. We have business advisors as well as tools and resources to walk you through how to register your business and assess business structure options. The Canada Business Benefits Finder is a customizable search tool for information on grants, funding, programs, and services. As previously mentioned, we collaborate with the federal government in evolving this tool so it can better serve the BC audience. The tool only lists sources that have received funding from any level of government to ensure the credibility of information and resources being listed. As for programs and services, the Mobile Business License Program allows businesses to operate across municipal boundaries. The province plays a role in facilitating conversations between partners, helping bring forward emerging issues for partner consideration, and facilitating required amendments to agreements. We are also working to expand the geographic reach of this program so they can include more rural and regional communities, especially within Indigenous communities. I will go into this program with a bit more detail later. The Export Navigator program is a provincially and federally funded program administered through Community Futures BC, offering free expert guidance to BC-based businesses on exporting. The Business Advisory Services is delivered by my small business programs area at the interim and offers free one-on-one consultation for pathfinding support. For all tools, programs, and services, we always seek feedback on how to improve to better serve our clients in the future. The first walkthrough will be the BizPal tool. BizPal is a free online service that helps business find which permits and licenses they need to start or grow their business. It's a national initiative led by ISED through the National BizPal office in Ontario. Provincial and local governments support the program by providing up-to-date information on their permit and license requirements. BizPal covers all levels of government, federal, provincial, and local, and tells you who to contact for each permit or license. Currently, BizPal covers all the province and territories except Nunavut. The version that I will walk you through today is a new beta version, which was launched on October 20th of this year. The site is now broken out into two parts for users to search: permits and licenses, and the new legislation and laws search. To start searching for permits and licenses, enter where your business will operate. For example, Kelowna.
And we're doing
Sorry, someone was talking. For example, Kelowna. This is important because BizPal only shows permit and license requirements for the respective province and municipality, not for all locations at once. Then enter the type of business. Then enter the type of business. For example, if a small farm wants to add a farm gate store or a small tasting area, I can search for farm gate store or eating. If you're not sure, try typing a few keywords. BizPal will then try to show a list of suggested business types that align with the North American Industry Classification System codes. Choose the one that best matches your business as you can only search one business type at a time. In this case, following our small farm scenario, I like to select limited service eating places to see my options. As a new feature, you can now see now you can type in the type of permit and license you're looking for to narrow the search relevant to your needs. I've entered food handling. Then click Find Permits and Licenses. This will produce a list of permits and licenses grouped by jurisdiction, such as provincial, regional, federal, or municipal, and also grouped by activities and relevance. You can see it organizes the most relevant results first, which aligns with the keyword type inputted. So it will populate health regulations from respective health authorities related to food handling first. As you scroll down, you'll then see the business permitting requirements. For each license or permit, it displays a brief description, any prerequisites, link to more information, link to online application form where available, and link to bylaw regulation and contact information. You may not need every permit or license listed, but it's a helpful way to check what could apply to your business. The legislation and laws section allows you to search laws such as acts, statutes, legislation, and regulations from different levels of government. Currently, only federal and BC data are available, but we're working to support other provinces and territories in onboarding. You can search one or more jurisdictions at a time. You can search keywords or exact terms you're looking for. For example, farm gate store and small tasting area. Results are broken out by various regulations contained that contains your keyword input. With each result, it lists various sections within the regulation based on high to low relevance, identifies relevant parts within the regulation, and text snippet from the regulation so you can verify if information is relevant to your search. The Business Structures Wizard compares different structures to help make a more informed decision on the best structure. It's recommended to consult with a lawyer and accountant to find what the legal and tax implication might be for each structure. There are three common types of business structures in BC. A sole proprietorship in an unincorporated business owned by is an unincorporated business owned by one person. It's considered the simplest structure due to the ease of establishment, in which business owner and company are considered a single legal entity. This structure is popular for small businesses, freelancers, and individual contractors. General partnership, business owners combine their resources to make a profit. Each partner contributes money, property, or skills. The profits or losses are divided among the partners based on each partner's share in the business. The third common type of business structure is a corporation, which can be provincial or federal. A corporation is a legal structure separate and distinct from its owner. When a company is incorporated, it acquires many of the legal powers of an individual. It can, for example, own real estate, hold investments, acquire assets, go into debt, enter contracts, and be directly involved in litigations. If incorporating, considerations should also include their plans to hire employees or open locations outside of the province. If the business plans to only hire and locate within the province, incorporating within BC is a better choice. If the business plans to hire and locate outside of the province, incorporating federally is a better choice. As you move through the questions, the most appropriate business structure will start to rank. By the end of the final question, it will make a recommendation on which structure should be explored. You can also view the detailed description of each structure by clicking on the See All Structures link. The last tool I will walk you through, the Canada Business Benefits Finder. It's a tool designed to help businesses in Canada discover various programs and services available to them. It provides a tailored list of government funding and funded loans, tax credits, wage subsidies, and expert advice to support business growth. This site guides you through a series of prompts that help find the right support for a business. This includes things like the type of support being sought, the stage of development, business goals, for example, hiring, expanding, or innovating, the industry or sector, the business size type, and ownership demographic, as there are targeted supports depending on how they identify. And lastly, you can filter based on a program's active intake status. As you provide information, this tool builds a customized profile called a story based on your answers. In this scenario, I have an entrepreneur looking to develop a digital app, seeking information on grants and funding, mentorship opportunities, and steps to federally incorporate their business. Once your story is complete, you will get a filtered list of programs and services grouped by category. For example, grants and fundings, loans and capital investments, expert advice, which includes mentorship opportunities and federal incorporation information, and more. You can view your results in different formats, save your favorites, and even share the list by email. This is a great way to receive a snapshot of programs tailored to you. Another resource for the business is our business advisory services. Due to the small business BC's closure late last year, the province committed to ensuring the interim continuity of pathfinding supports, which resulted in the launch of our business pathfinding services earlier this year. Further work is underway to analyze the business support ecosystem and future state opportunities. Our advisory services is focused on providing pathfinding support through one-on-one consultation, access to resources designed to help businesses start, grow, and thrive, and provide guidance on navigating government programs and funding opportunities. Our client base is predominantly in the pre-startup or startup phase, but we receive requests from mature businesses as well, and our services are non-discriminate to size. Although we don't provide professional expert advice such as legal, accounting, or marketing, our advisors try to find appropriate resources that are low or no cost options for referral and provide guidance on questions to consider when consulting with professional experts so that they can be more well prepared. The objective of the advisors is focused on general business support and be expert navigators on most programs and support within the business ecosystem in all life cycles of the business, from starting, managing, growing, pivoting, to exiting. This also involves our understanding of the ecosystem to better refer our clients to appropriate subject matter experts, especially within other government areas. Our role is to understand all programs out there that support businesses, understand their eligibility criteria, and provide tailored support for clients where appropriate. Our advisors have decades of combined experience in client services support. So to contact our advisors, you can visit our website or reach out directly through our toll-free number or email. And now I'll walk through a list of provincial initiatives and programs. The Ease of Doing Business was launched with the goal of identifying and removing barriers to establishing or growing businesses in BC and improving competitiveness. Businesses, as well as local governments and the public, are invited to share their challenges, ideas, and suggestions to improve the business environment in BC through an online portal. The Agritech Concierge provides government wayfinding support for agritech businesses to grow, diversify, access new markets, and attract investment opportunities. The service is available to farmers, food entrepreneurs, or agritech business interested in advancing technology and innovation, growing business, or locating in BC. The Buy BC program promotes BC food and beverage products, helps consumers choose local food products, and support farmers and businesses. The program provides free Buy BC logo for packaging and marketing materials to producers, processors, retailers, farmers markets, and industry associations to build customer awareness, increase exposure, and expand market share and sales. The BC Provincial Nominee Program is an economic immigration program that offers a pathway to permanent residency for workers, recent graduates, entrepreneurs, and businesses that meets BC labor market and economic development needs. Walking through a key grant program, the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program issues annual grant, which supports rural economic development projects through 4 unique funding categories: capacity, development, implementation, and transition. The current fiscal intake was closed on October 31st, but funding decision for the next fiscal year will be announced in the spring of 2026. The development funding stream in particular supports business planning, feasibility assessments, and other developmental steps for businesses and economic diversification opportunities in rural BC. All Indigenous governments are eligible for all funding streams. Important information to note is that funding is not guaranteed and applications are ranked against program priorities. The BC Employer Training Grant provides funding to small, medium, and large size enterprises to support skills trainings for their workforce, including prospective new hires and business owners. I'd like to emphasize that business owners themselves can also take advantage of this grant. The intent of this program is to help British Columbians access the skills training required to adapt to the labor market's changing job requirements, while also encouraging employer involvement in skills training. The grant helps employers pay for training, which in turn help employees experience increased job security or move into better jobs. You can refer to the eligibility criteria for additional considerations before applying. The eligibility criteria is categorized into eligible employers, eligible participants, eligible training providers, and eligible costs. Eligible employers does include self-employed individuals, like I mentioned, but does not include provincial and federal governments, including Crown and agencies. If a participant is receiving employment insurance or income assistance, they must receive approval from the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction before training begins. Training must be relevant to specific job-related skills training and must start on or after the application date. The training has to result in a better job or job security for a current employee or a secure job for an unemployed person. The Disaster Financial Assistance, DFA for short, like I previously raised, is a program meant to compensate for sudden, unexpected, and uninsurable essential losses caused by a disaster or emergency event, such as flood, that resulted in an extensive or widespread damage. This may include building repairs, replacement of essential personal effects, equipment and inventory, cleanup, and debris removal. The DFA can only be issued if it meets the assessment criteria for a disaster and will not cover insurable damages or expenses such as lost wages or income. It's important to note that the DFA does not replace the need for insurance. And a Crown agency, Innovate BC, is a BC Crown corporation with the goal of helping companies start and scale, training talent that meets labor market needs, and encouraging technology development, commercialization, and adoption. They are open to supporting all types of businesses that have an innovation focus, not just for tech companies. They have a variety of programs and a robust set of services that might benefit businesses, including networking events. In BC is also a BC Crown Corporation with a $500 million fund that invests in growing companies and venture funds with a positive impact. This is for BC companies that is generating revenue and in the growth stage. The First Nations Equity Financing Program was announced in the 2024 budget as a program that will facilitate First Nations equity investment by providing loan guarantees for projects where there is shared interest. It is currently under development and not yet active, but will be available soon. This program is designed to help overcome the financial barriers many First Nations face when seeking capital to participate meaningfully in projects within their territories. I will now walk through a list of key federal initiatives and programs. So, Pacific Economic Development Canada, Pacific Can for short, focuses on helping grow BC businesses to compete in both domestic and global markets. Entrepreneurs with Disabilities program provides business information, training and development, mentoring, and one-on-one counseling information. This program is offered through Community Futures. The Business Development Bank of Canada, BDC for short, is a federal crown corporation that provides numerous free resources covering a wide range of topics for entrepreneurs. They also have free training covering topics like AI adoption, which I have partially completed and found to be very useful. Partially completed because I haven't had the time to finish it all, but from what I have taken, it is very, very useful. The Regional Tariff Response Initiative is a federal strategy to invest in businesses, either directly or through the organizations that support them, so they can seize new opportunities, adapt global trade disruptions, and boost domestic trade. It's targeted towards helping BC businesses face trade and tariff disruptions to pivot to new paths by helping boost productivity and reduce costs, build more resilient supply chains, and reach new markets. The program provides repayable and non-repayable funding to businesses and non-repayable funding to nonprofit organizations that support small and medium enterprises. Important to note that eligible projects must be funded at least 10% from non-government sources, and eligible costs can only be submitted for reimbursement. As mentioned earlier, Pacifican also has funding programs available that support creating quality jobs and supporting an inclusive economy. The Canada Small Business Financing Program makes it easier for small businesses to get loans from financial institutions by sharing risk with lenders and providing loans up to 1.15 million. The Black Entrepreneurship Program helps Black Canadian business owners and entrepreneurs grow their businesses with loans up to $250,000. BDC offers financing options to businesses that have been in operation for at least 12 months and have loan programs targeted towards Indigenous entrepreneurs. In the next section, I will list available Indigenous business support where I'll only speak to notable resources to be conscious of the time, while you will have the presentation to take away, like I mentioned before, and explore all the resources on the slides at your leisure. As I went through previously, the business advisory services can offer tailored general business support that is available to all, where support is tailored based on the needs of the client, including Indigenous entrepreneurs. I've also mentioned the Indigenous Business Resource Handout as one of our branch publications from earlier. But another one to mention here is the BC Indigenous Pathfinding Service. It provides services targeted towards Indigenous businesses in the food and agricultural industry. There are 4 Indigenous community futures that provides loans and business support in rural and remote BC communities. Haida Gwaii, Central Interior First Nations, Stolo, and Nuu-chah-nulth Economic Development Corporation. Talahout Aboriginal Capital Corporation, also known as TAX, administers the Business Equity Program, which provides grants to qualifying projects. And the Northern Industries Innovation Fund supports innovation projects that enhance competitiveness through research and development, product development, and technology testing. The list in this slide contains additional funding resources that supports Indigenous businesses. I'm not going to go through all of them. I just want to make mention that in addition to tax business equity program, they also deliver financing and funding programs to Indigenous entrepreneurs in the Coast Salish territory. Indigenous financial institutions are autonomous, Indigenous-controlled, community-based financial organizations with support including business loans, non-repayable contributions, financial management consulting, and business startup services. In addition to the organizations I've previously mentioned, other Indigenous financial institutions also include the Burns Lake Native Development Corporation and the Native Fishing Association. In the next section, I'll walk through the rules and regulations as well as processes for registering business, applying for permits and licenses, and share useful information around franchising. There are a few steps involved before a business can register, which is also detailed in a guide for registering your business linked in this slide. First, as previously mentioned, you would evaluate your business idea where you could use the province's step-by-step guide to assist. After you would review existing trademarks and intellectual property records, an important step to ensure your business name will not infringe on the intellectual property of another business, which could result in legal action. Then you would proceed to choosing a business type where you could use the business structures wizard that I've walked through before to help you identify your options. You can then apply for a business name through the BC registries and online services, where they will check the availability of your business name and determine if it is valid for registration. You can submit this name request online, in person at a Service BC location, or by mail. Finally, before registering, you would need to create an account with the BC registries and online services. There are a few ways to create an account with BC registries, so please visit BC registries website for detailed information. You can also contact BC Registries and Online Services directly with questions about naming your business and registering your business. They do not provide business or legal advice. Depending on the type of business you operate, you may need a business permit and license at one or more levels of government. The Community Charter and Local Government Act allows municipalities to issue permits, licenses at their own discretion, as well as setting fees and penalties relating to business and business licenses. Most municipalities require a business license to operate within the boundaries to ensure uh, compliance with zoning and other local regulations. Businesses must also check with their municipality for specific rules and application process. Additional permits will be required depending on your business type and activities such as health, signage, or zoning permits. BC requires specific permits and licenses for certain businesses, especially those involving regulated activities or professions. The federal permits and licenses are Some federal permits and licenses are required, particularly for business involving broadcasting, telecommunications, or food handling. There are many permits and licenses that are industry specific, so it's recommended to do your research and contact areas where you require more information. Although we do have the BizPal tool, it doesn't contain all the local governments or communities. There are still some that could be onboarded, so it's best to just check with your local government. Civic Info BC lists contact information for local governments. As previously walked through, BizPal is a great tool to help understand federal, provincial, and local governments' business license and permit requirements. The Mobile Business License Program, also known as Inter-Community or Inter-Municipal Business Licenses, ICBL and IMBL for short, allows mobile business licenses to operate across jurisdictional or community boundaries without having to obtain a business license in each community. This program is under municipal jurisdiction. As I mentioned before, the province does help facilitate conversations and helps form new agreements. Municipalities or local governments decide if they want to join or form a partnership. Then each participating municipality have agreed upon bylaws listed on their website. There are currently 17 partnerships covering 104 communities across BC. Communities can belong to more than one partnership, and neighboring communities may be a part of a different agreement. Each partnership has its own rules about which business types qualify, so it's important to check eligibility. Some partnerships allow non-residents to apply, while others are restricted to residents only. There is no province-wide mobile business license available, and the province does not issue mobile business licenses. You must apply through a participating municipality. You can visit our website to see a full list of participating communities and learn more. Another option to start a business is through franchising, which is a significant contributor to BC's economy. Many businesses in BC are franchised. These include restaurants, hotels, car dealerships, retail stores, and more. According to the Canadian Franchise Association, there are almost 10,000 franchises in BC, representing 15% of the Canadian total. The province has published a guide to support entrepreneurs in starting a franchise, which includes information on how franchises work, resources to start a franchise with checklists of considerations, and general business support resources. The Franchise Act was passed in 2015, effectively governing the franchise businesses and important legal protections for BC-based franchises that they did not previously have. This act also includes a document for questions and answers to prospective franchisees. The Canadian Franchise Association, that I mentioned previously, is a nonprofit organization. They represent over 700 corporate members and more than 40,000 franchise business owners in Canada. They provide a variety of tools and resources to help start or buy a franchise. Bear with me. I know I did a lot of talking. We're almost done, I think. In this section, I will go through other external resources and resources that can be useful to foreigners, non-residents, newcomers, and immigrants who would like to start a business in BC. Um, so the first that I'll mention, that I've mentioned previously, although our advisors don't um, provide professional expert advice, they are free. There are free, low cost, and directory of non-government options available, such as Access Pro Bono, which is a website that will refer a business to a suitable lawyer for their business needs. The Societies of Notaries Public of BC provides a directory of notaries who are part of select group of legal professionals commissioned by the Supreme Court of BC. These unique legal advisors are highly trained in the provision of numerous non-contentious services where the parties involved are in agreement. The CPA BC website helps businesses search for a chartered professional accountant in their area. Info Action is a fee-based research service from the Vancouver Public Library. It provides customized expert research support to help businesses access hard to find information quickly and reliably, ideal for market research, competitive analysis, or strategic planning. Women Entrepreneurs of BC, WeBC for short, offers a free strategic marketing course, a video series designed for business owners who want to build or improve their marketing strategy. This course is not restricted to only women. It is universally accessible by anyone interested. Beyond the BC government, there are many other non-government resources available that can support the entrepreneurial journey. Community Futures is one that most of you might be familiar with, where there are 34 offices across the province. WeBC and Futurepreneur in particular provides funding through non-traditional lending institutions. Many of these organizations, such as Immigrant Society of BC, provide support to newcomers in many ways. And BC Chamber of Commerce includes members representing many local chambers of commerce or boards of trades that advocate for business across across the province. So, when starting a business in BC as a foreigner, non-resident, newcomer, and immigrant, there isn't a residency requirement in BC to start a business, but there is a requirement to have a BC address and a valid work permit to register a business in BC. Provincially, our Trade and Invest BC team within our ministry published a Doing Business in BC guide aimed at non-Canadian companies and entrepreneurs looking for general information about laws, regulations, and taxes that apply to starting and operating a business in BC. The BC Provincial Nominee Program is an economic immigration program that allows for the province to select economic immigrants who will live in BC and help fill job vacancies or operate businesses. This was the program that I previously mentioned as part of the BC initiatives and programs. BDC has published tips and resources for newcomers to Canada looking to start a business. There are a variety of other non-government resources offered to newcomers in BC wanting to start a business by nonprofit organizations such as YMCA BC and Diversity. Newcomers usually do not qualify for many lending programs as they do not have established credit in Canada, so it can be challenging to get a loan from traditional financial institutions. Therefore, looking into organizations like nonprofit organizations may be the best source of loan funding for them. In the next section, I will go through useful resources to address frequently asked questions such as how do I grow into new markets? How can I take advantage of government procurement opportunities? And how can I access skilled labor? The province has developed a few guides to support businesses in exporting new markets, such as the International Trade and Investment Guide, the aforementioned Exporting Goods from Canada Guide that we published last week, and the Trade Diversification Strategy. We also have the Trade Accelerator Program to assist small and medium enterprises in developing a market entry plan for a new market. Some of you are probably familiar. We also have the Export Navigator program to help businesses become export ready, diversify their markets, and find new customers outside of BC. Both programs are free for businesses, BC businesses, to utilize. The BC Bid application is a modern online marketplace where buyers can post solicitation opportunities and suppliers can bid on those opportunities. For guidance on how to get started, you can refer to the Get Started with BC Bid and BC Bid user guides. BC Bid does not guarantee the supplier will obtain the contract as it exercises fair competition. There are 5 steps to registering with BC Bid as a supplier, and it's important to understand them because there are costs involved to setting up. The just nominal cost. In step 1, the first person in the business who registers will automatically be assigned the supplier admin role and be the only person to make account modifications. So it's really important that the first person who signs up for the business is the right person as the supplier admin. Then you would need to review business processes, as you may need to adapt when using BC Bid to take advantage of new features and improved functions. After, you would need to obtain a business BCE ID. Then you can access application learning resources, and finally, you can create a new BC Bid account. For assistance with the BC Bid application, you can call or email the BC Bid help desk. As part of the Indigenous Procurement Initiative, the province has established an external advisory committee to co-develop a plan to address gaps, barriers, and inequities faced by Indigenous vendors. You can visit the website I've linked on the page here, and they provide updates on the progress of that development. To access skilled labor, you can explore the Work BC Access Point, take advantage of the BC Employer Training Grant, like I had previously mentioned. Explore the BC Provincial Nominee Program. Again, this was mentioned a couple times before as well. And register to be a sponsor of apprentices through Skilled Trades BC, a BC Crown corporation that leads and coordinates BC's skilled trades system. You can also reach out to specialized nonprofit organizations that can connect businesses with job-ready local and internationally trained workers. I know this part is fairly dry material, but I feel like it's quite important to note there around business taxation in BC, as a lot of people generally aren't super aware of what's required of the tax in BC. So although business taxation falls under Ministry of Finance's purview, I'll speak to some useful information for people planning to start or already operating a business in BC. The Ministry of Finance assists entrepreneurs in understanding the BC's taxes, making available to you the resources that can ensure compliance with tax requirements within the province. There are 2 main sales tax charged in BC. The provincial sales tax, commonly known as PST, is administered through our province's legislation and regulations. And the goods and service tax, commonly known as GST, is administered through the federal government of Canada. All GST questions can be directed to the Canada Revenue Agency directly. This is a screenshot of our PST site. To the left of the screen, there are all the topics that cover PST, such as how to register to collect PST, how to charge and collect the PST from customers, and frequently asked questions. At the very bottom of the list of the PST topics is the link to webinars and seminars. If a business is starting up or already running, it's suggested for them to register for free PST webinars so they can familiarize themselves on the PST and how it may affect their business. To stay informed, you can subscribe to the PST and other tax updates. It's recommended anyone running a business subscribe to receive these updates by email to inform changes. This ensures compliance with PST legislation. And finally, contact us. Within the small business branch, we have 3 contact information. For general information and query on what our branch offers, you can contact our small business branch directly. For business pathfinding services, you can contact our advisors directly to receive free pathfinding supports or arrange an appointment for one-on-one consultations with our advisors. As mentioned previously, the Ease of Doing Business online portal is accessible through the site. Businesses are invited to share their challenges, including local governments and any organizations and the general public, to share their challenges, ideas, suggestions to improve the business environment in BC. It is open all year round. For any questions around PST or other provincial taxes, please contact the Ministry of Finance directly by visiting their website, or you can email or call them if you have specific questions. They are there to help make taxes easier to understand and comply with. You can contact the BC Registries and Online Services directly for questions relating to, as I mentioned before, naming your business and registering your business. They do not provide business or legal advice. I cannot emphasize that enough. That kind of wraps up my presentation. So thank you, everyone. I hope you found the information today useful. So I will now kick off with questions. I can't see where the questions are, so I'm going to stop sharing for now. Are there any questions?
That was great, Swin. It's Dale. So, yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to stick up your hand and we can take some questions for a bit. I can see there's been a lot of communication going on in the chat, which is, but it looks like Maria has been doing a phenomenal job of quickly answering those questions. So thanks very much, Maria. That was great. A lot of information to absorb. So I'm glad we're sharing the presentation, as well as we will share it to those that attended today. Plus, we'll talk with the ministry to see if there's other ways that we can share the presentation, because I do think it is something that economic developers, general public. I see there's been a few businesses on there. Thank you, Shreya, for your questions, and I'm glad that Maria was able to answer them. I see we do have a question from JP. So go ahead, JP.
Good morning. Sort of a technical incorporation type question. At the beginning of your presentation, you just listed it as BC corporations. I'm wondering, because they're covered by different legislation, do cooperatives have any additional restrictions or opportunities through your office that a regular corporation under the Societies Act would or wouldn't have?
Are you talking about accessing to the provincial programs and services?
Yes. Is there additional services for co-ops?
That is something that I have to look into, and I can probably send a response for it because we need to do a little bit of a research. For the most part, if they are program specific, like if they're a loan program or grant program, it's really highly dependent on each of the restrictions and eligibility criteria of those programs, federally or provincially. But if it's something like accessing services, for the most part, anything, as I can only speak to ones that are under my branch, they are universally accessible. So anyone and everyone can really access those services when it comes to the business advisory services. Is there one in particular that you're thinking of that I mentioned in terms of the programs or services?
No, there are hundreds of co-ops in BC.
Yeah.
And they're governed by different legislation. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if that
For
makes
the most part, we don't discriminate based off of the business structure. So
Okay.
whether or not they're co-op, incorporated, sole proprietorship, we support everyone and anyone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
And JP, BCDA works with cooperatives first. So if you have questions about cooperatives, feel free to send me an email and we can connect you with them, and
Yeah,
hopefully they can answer.
I deal with them on a regular basis as well. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Thanks.
Good. Anybody else with a question?
I have one more
Julie.
question. Oh, Julie, go ahead. Hello, thank you so much for that. I learned a lot. We have some of the information available on our website at the West Shore Chamber, but some of that expanded and the able to go in and to be able to look at some of those details by filtering in through the local location and stuff is really great. I've got a question, and myself and my colleagues are making sort of some more inquiries about what happens next with Small Business BC. For those of us who do not have Community Future Service, we're growing increasingly concerned about what's available. So I appreciate that you've got the advisory service. However, that by no means covers, of course, some of what was available through Small Business BC, and also just looking to the fact that, of course, as part of our continued adaptation to the world we live in, we want all of our businesses to be able to have access to these supports and services.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm just wondering if you can give us any further information about what's going on, or just any insight would be really much appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely. So the whole point of the business advisory services, as you probably know, was our business advisory services was launched as a response to Small Business BC's closure. So it's not really dedicated to any specific regions. It is open to everyone, and that's where we are trying to cover the gap. So where you find that there is a service gap, that's where you come to the province directly to receive that information. Most of the time, people do prefer to go to their local community futures office because they are a lot more well-versed in the geographic support and services available to that region. But for anyone who doesn't have a community futures office, this is where the province is stepping in to support that and bridge that gap. As for the future, oh, sorry, Dale.
No, go ahead, Swin.
Okay, we are still undergoing an analysis of the business support ecosystem, which was initiated as a result of the closure of the Small Business BC. So that work is still underway, where there will be a future state recommendation coming out from that. So hang tight on that, but for the time being, we are bridging the gap at the interim. So anywhere where there is support within your region, I actually live in your region. You can just come to our team directly, and our business advisors are able to support. Sorry, Dale, you had something to say?
No, that's great. I think this is one of the reasons why we actually wanted to host this webinar, is we recognize, exactly what you said, Julie, about the loss of Small Business BC, and I think it's really encouraging what the province through JEG Ministry Jobs and Economic Growth is doing to sort of pool some of that or all of that information together, provide those advisory services. But we want to make sure people are aware. And I think things like this, we hear all the time, like, oh, Small Business BC is gone, where do we go? And when we used to hear Small Business BC is, it's just for Vancouver. So we want to make it clear to everybody outside of the regions this is available everywhere, even if there is a Community Futures. This is available for everywhere for people to get assistance. And I think, Swin, I want to talk with you more a bit about putting some of this information, not putting the information on our site, but providing the linkages and different things that we should be doing through BCDA to not only help our communities and First Nations throughout the province, but the businesses that make up our economy. So a few more questions, starting with Tracy, actually.
Sorry, just before we move on to Tracy, if I can just sort of follow up on that and a couple of things, and then I will stop talking. So Swin, part of what I'm seeing is that appreciate all of that information available, but it's really it's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yes.
And therefore, obviously, I'm sure that the advisors that you have are going to help from a concierge perspective to help guide people through, but it's not enough. And there's not enough people there to do it. And certainly as chambers, we're going to continue to be asking these kinds of questions because we're seeing the lack in our communities. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a growing community. So that's even more the case. So thank you very much. And yes, I hope you will keep us in the loop, because this consortium of chambers has self-identified across the province, and we're going to keep asking the questions. So thank you very much for all the information.
Absolutely. And Julie, just to emphasize, the ease of doing business is open and you're probably aware of it. This is where communicating the challenges, suggestions for improvement to help the business community landscape is super important. It is very, very highly monitored by our branch as well. So please utilize that platform to communicate all the challenges and suggestions for ideas. Tracy.
Yeah, thanks. Was there someone that was popping in around the time Julie started speaking? Just want to make sure I'm not usurping anyone.
I think the floor
That
is
was me.
yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, wow, you guys have been super busy, and I really appreciate all that you've done. I can't believe you were able to fit that all in such a
I tried
short
my best.
You were talking so fast. I was like trying to write it down.
I'm
So I'm
so
really glad
sorry.
you're going to share it. Julie and I both sit on the board of the Canadian Chamber Executives of BC. This would be super useful information to share across the province with all the chamber executives. Would we be able to invite you to a meeting to share this presentation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
With it being time restricted to 1 hour, there would need to be some focus on who the audience is so that I can tailor exactly to the audience needs. For this one in particular, because we didn't know who would be joining, it was kind of all walks of life. I
Yeah.
had to really generalize the information. So for a targeted presentation like that, absolutely, I can, and maybe it's something that I can work with you directly on to see how
Okay,
we can
great.
tailor the information. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much. So I'll get your email somehow. It's probably somewhere obvious, and then
Dale
I'll
will
follow.
probably share it because I will share this presentation as a PowerPoint, sorry, as a PDF, because there's so much hyperlinkage in the presentation. So when that gets shared out and also responses to all the questions as well, just so that you can all have a record of it, Dale will also share my, or Dale or Mark can share my information as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks for from the province, and thanks for Dale for sharing this with us. Super great.
Good job.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks. I believe it was Aaron.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, wonderful presentation. So much information. And my comment is kind of similar to Tracy's and about just the fact that there is a lot of information to digest. I am from Gabriola Island. It's a very rural community and something that we find over and over again, especially with larger institutions and information sharing, is we really need that relationship in our community for that trust to be built and be able to be accessed. And so I'm wondering, yeah, about maybe more tailored presentations in the future with more communities that can be specific to their needs. We don't have super large businesses, but a lot of small business needs a lot of potential for growth, but not a lot of information to know where to go, or there hasn't been in the last year. And I think that's been left with chambers a lot to kind of navigate and figure out where to lead people. And it's great that we've started the conversation now to kind of figure out those next steps.
That's great. Thanks for that comment. And just for you all to know, if there is a point in time where it is confusing and we don't know where to access information, this is where I say business advisory services from the province is your point of contact because they help navigate. As soon as any inquiry comes in, it gets filtered through to the right people to address them. So if there's any gaps or any questions or any support required, just go directly to the business advisory services and we can help collate information for your respective audience as well.
And Shreya. Not sure if I pronounced your name right, but if I haven't, I apologize.
No, that was actually correct pronunciation. Thank you so much, Dale.
You had a question?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much, Swin, for all the information. I took photos, even though I knew you mentioned that you were going to send the information to us. This was so incredibly useful, so thank you so much. One of the questions I had is for smaller, kind of like smaller incorporated businesses. So I incorporated my business last year, but it's just me in the business. So I was wondering if I would still qualify for kind of like bidding on government contracts or how to find that information or who to reach out to get that kind of information and insight.
Um, For the most part, anything to do with government procurement opportunities, I went through a whole slide on BC Bid. That is the resource slide that you should look into. There's guides to help you understand if you are qualified or not. I haven't really come across any. I'm not really aware of any restrictions on incorporated business versus not. It really depends on what is being solicited in terms of asking for suppliers to bid on contracts. We have incorporated business bid on contracts all the time. They can't all be nonprofit organizations, especially when it comes to very technical services. So depending on what service you offer, it's just best to go through the BC Bid site and look at your opportunities and look at the eligibility criteria for submitting your proposal.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, this presentation will be shared. I will convert it into PDF so that, like I said, it's got a lot of hyperlinkage, and I understand that it's not easy for me to type out all the URL as well. So this will be provided, and we will summarize all the questions being asked as well in a response or a summary document for everyone today. I'm 6 minutes
Great.
over.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know if there's any more questions, so I am going to quickly share my screen here to just close the session off. Yeah, so just give me a second. I did want to mention off the start in the closing that BCDA does offer a lot of resources either to businesses or the local communities or Indigenous communities, First Nation communities around business supports. So I thought I'd just list them here quickly. The BC Business Counts program is a tool used by some local governments, including Langford, who I believe is actually on the call today. But it's a tool to control all their outreach and supports and linkages where they can upload the information that Swin was sharing here, so that she can do referrals and they can do referrals to Swin of businesses and etc. if they want to set it up that way. So that is available for BC communities. Disaster Smart. It also helps the local government sort of monitor their business growth, what's happening in the communities as far as businesses go. DisasterSmartBC.ca is a brand new website. BCDA, as many of you know, we've been very active in disasters over the last 16 years, 15 years, and providing both local government, First Nations, and business-specific supports during and after a disaster. We typically respond within 24 hours of the launch of the announcement of a disaster, and have resources available on our website of where businesses go to find supports. Of course, we do encourage in that tool to go to the province's website for the most up-to-date information, but ours is a live document, so we try to keep it up to date all the time, and it is typically shared by financial institutions and other organizations to make sure that those involved in the disasters are there. Disaster Smart BC provides a lot of tools and resources for communities to better prepare for a disaster, for the economic impacts from a disaster. We started our manuals in that, up to probably 10, 12 years ago. And they're available. They've been updated. They're on this website, as well as resources for businesses, including linkages to the Ready Rating program from the Canadian Red Cross to assess your business and how ready you are should a disaster hit. We can do, if businesses need introductions, we're happy to do introductions. As a matter of fact, I was talking with one of the businesses in the private chat. But we can provide introductions to your local economic developer or regional managers or chambers of commerce or community futures organizations. And like Swin said, they're a phenomenal resource for those communities that actually have community futures, and encourage communities to always reach out to their businesses, to reach out to them for supports. And of course, just a little selfish plug about joining BCDA. What's that?
Go BCDA.
Go BCBA. There you go. Yeah, we encourage you to join. The renewals have been sent out for those that are on here. If you haven't got your renewal, let me know. We have an upcoming webinar tracking tariffs and trade on December the 4th, 10:30 a.m. with Diamond Issinger, who'll talk about what what the Canada-U.S. developments mean for Northern BC. So please, that is available on our BCDA webinars website. Please feel free to register for that. And we have our BC Economic Summit coming up in May in Penticton. And our opening keynote speaker is Kendall Netmaker. It'll have a lot of good topics for community futures chambers, organizations, economic developers, local governments, and Indigenous communities. So the summit is very well attended every year. And I know our hotel reservations are starting to fill up. So if you haven't made them yet, I would highly suggest doing that. And registration, of course, is open now on our website at bceconomicsummit.ca. And it's the cheap registration right now. It's the early bird. So if you want to register, that's great. I want to thank you all for attending. The Swin, you were phenomenal. I think this session is something that we should do more of, and I look forward to connecting with you afterwards with a few ideas that I want to pass by you, and we'll go from there. But thanks everybody for attending.